What's going on, everybody? It's Dot Bets. We're checking back in. We have episode 11. We are finally back. It only took us maybe 2 or 3 weeks, little break right before the season started. We are ready to get back after it. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We had a great Sunday live show. We had, I would say, close to 200 something viewers, I would say, on Twitter. I had a bunch of comments. We hoped that everybody enjoyed the show. We will recap that in full here shortly. Wanted to give a shout out to props.cash, as always, powering us. So use code on the dot to get 25% off their monthly subscription. Sidekick, how are we feeling tonight? How are we feeling after week one? As Jameis Winston says post game, there's pain everywhere. That's a little bit of what I feel like today, but I feel like it's good pain. I'm excited to feel that way.
I feel pretty good. Missed a couple close ones over the weekend, but overall did pretty well. Just need the Broncos here to cash it in for a complete card here.
Yeah, I'm currently watching the Broncos Seahawks game. They're close to halftime, so we are recording this this evening. We are describing the pain. It was good to feel that way again with football back, because I was make or break on the Colts this weekend. If the Colts would have covered my teaser, I would have been up like 4 or 5 units, and I ultimately am even for the week. And depending on what happens in this Broncos game, I could be plus money for week one. However, it was good to just sweat out games, but man, do I hate kickers. And I mean, I would say a lot of people who had Colts in Survivor, had Bengals in Survivor, had Titans in Survivor, whoever had that is just kicking themselves and super pissed off at all these kickers.
Yeah, well, I'm pissed off at Blankenship too. I don't know if you said him, but
oh yeah,
he needs to be on the list.
Yeah, it was an eventful week one, crazy Bengals Steelers game. So we will dive in. Let's recap our week one bets, talk about some of our biggest takeaways, and then we will talk about a little bit of who we want to pick up on the waiver wire, and then look at week two, the look ahead, where we might have some spots that have already jumped out to us that we've already taken maybe. So our week one bets with the On the Dot show ended up going 3-3. We lost the Minnesota 49ers game. We had a teaser in those two teams. 49ers just looked a little bit off in the second half. When we went live, the line was actually, it flipped to the Vikings with all those people out for the Packers. So I ended up just saying, hey, go ahead and just take the Vikings money line. So anybody who did that, shout out to anybody who did that. Also, leave a comment if you did. We'd love to hear you guys' feedback on the show. Then we had a gross beat on Travis Etienne. We had his over.
Awful.
It was over 21.5 receiving yards. He catches a pass to get like 24 or 25. Takes a couple steps up the field, gets absolutely truck stick. The ball flies, I think, 7 or 8 yards behind him, and we end up losing that bet. He doesn't even catch a ball in the second half, which was a strange thing we'll talk about. And then we also had a tough break on Dameon Pierce, over an 11.5 rush attempts. That was the big one. In an overtime game, Rex Burkhead just decided, hey, I'm going to be the man in week one. We'll talk about that as well shortly. But the ones that we did hit, shout out to Sidekick. We have Evan Ingram. I was kind of shitting on him for that pick a little bit, but that was a good handicap there. We also had Barkley over 26.5 receiving yards. That was a gimme. That guy's going to be a beast this year. We have been all over him. And then we have the Detroit Lions and the Eagles over, which absolutely dominated that one. I think they ended up scoring like 70 or 80 points themselves. So That we went 3-3 minus 1.7 units on the show. Nothing that we can't get back. I assume we bounce back very, very strongly. So tune in next Sunday. My subscriber plays. Also, we went, I think it was 2-3 or 3-3 as well. I think I missed. It was the Colts. The Colts -1 teaser with the Ravens -1 teaser. I had 2 units on that, which ended up slightly missing because of Blankenship. How did your subscriber plays go?
Yeah, so went pretty well. Missed the Etienne prop, missed the Trey Lance prop, but cashed all the. I had Dolphins -3, Ravens first half with Colts money line, so that ended up cashing, but not to the fullest what I expected to get out of it. But
Right.
had Diggs, had the Bills. Barkley, Evan Ingram. So I think it went pretty well. And if you listen to the podcast or the live show, also told you to take DJ Chark touchdown, and that hit. Scored at the end of that game there. So
Yeah, and we did say we had Chark, I had Swift, so those are 2 nice little. We might implement a touchdown parlay at the end. We might do something like that where we combine maybe 2 or 3 people and see what we can do. But we will always track our bets. We'll recap them on next week's show, and we'll recap them as well here on the podcast. So if anybody has any bad beats they want to let us know of, comment on YouTube or shoot us a DM on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you guys. So let's transition into the week one. Our biggest takeaways. So what were the first one that popped out to you, B?
Well, as a Colts fan,
Yeah.
I'm pretty upset with how things went week one. Going into Houston, they're supposed to be this juggernaut team this year, supposed to compete for the division title, make a playoff run, and man, this team is just I'm starting to think it's Frank Wright, whether it's play calling or maybe it's something deeper in the locker room, but I'm just not feeling him, and I kind of got that last year. If you watch the game towards the end of the game where they needed to score points, their offense started to flow a little bit more, but they just don't ever push the pace, spread it out until they need to, and I just think that they need to have that sense of urgency all the time. They just don't finish games. They did it this preseason. They did it all last year, so it's a little deflating being a Colts fan right now.
What blows my mind is you got Frank Wright in the offseason saying we need to limit Taylor's touches. We need to make sure we keep him fresh. Boom, gets out there with 31 carries to start the year. Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know how they're.
Although
you have to, but I think you have Hines that could easily be a change of pace guy and help Taylor longevity wise for the season, especially when you're
pretty good too. Especially when they started to pick up the pace, like he made really good decisions and didn't force anything. He ran when he needed to. He found Pittman a lot. I think they just need to change what they're doing on offense.
Yeah. So my biggest takeaway would be that DeAndre Swift has become a superstar RB1. I think. Now, I wouldn't even say superstar, just a legit RB1. That if you drafted him this year, you are so pumped about it. That offense is going to be fun to watch, and it's probably something that you should target towards the coming weeks. As you can see, the Commanders Lions game next week is a 49 point total. Crazy. You would never think that game last year would be 49 points. You got that thinking maybe it's 41 or 43. Now it's a whole touchdown ahead of it. So I really like that game next week. But I will say Swift is a beast. And if you've drafted him, kudos to you. Ride him all season long. And I'm not worried about Jamal. being the touchdown guy there, Swift will get plenty of his own.
And he's going to get yards and receptions, and he's going to rake it in.
Yep. And then speaking of some beast running backs, let's transition to some guys that you drafted a little bit earlier on that did not do so hot, i.e. Alvin Kamara, CMC. You got Damian Pierce. Just some odd workloads. I thought Austin Eckler's usage was a little bit different too.
It was super weird. The
Yeah.
Eckler situation. I mean, and if you look at his lines for Thursday, they're really low.
Yeah.
It's 4.5 receptions right now, and I don't know what's going on with that. But I mean, that's one of the picks that I like moving into next week because because Keenan Allen might be out.
Yeah, and in that game, they were ahead most of that game. The Chargers were, but they leaned a little bit more on Sony Michel than I thought they would. I don't think it warrants a Sony Michel pickup. It could just be 1 week. Like everybody says, do not overreact to week one. But there are very, very big alarms. So then my other one is going to be obviously Dak Prescott being out for, I think, a couple months with that thumb surgery or joint surgery or whatnot.
And CeeDee Lamb.
Exactly. That's where I was going.
I'm glad I didn't draft him in anything.
Yeah, if you drafted CeeDee Lamb thinking he was going to be a target hog, now you're questioning yourself, trying to figure out. And the Cowboys just did not look very good. It was the Packers and the Cowboys, those two offenses. They lose two big receivers, and they just cannot. Right now, they can't overcome it. They have two elite backs, but we were talking, I think, episodes ago. How is that offense going to get down the field? We don't know. And week one did not show us anything
either.
Yep.
Pollard struggled.
He had a weird usage as well. And then not going to worry about Trey Lance. That was another thing that I've seen a lot of people freak out about. Call for Jimmy G. I mean, that was just a sloppy game. Not too worried about him. I think Shanahan is going to just make sure he's good. There's
is running the ball and throwing it deep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Weather, it kind of limits what he can do.
And then the last one that I will bring up, I don't know if you got any other ones, but Michael Thomas is officially back on the map. And if you had enough stones to go ahead and draft him in fantasy, you are very, very pumped up. If you had him for 2 touchdowns this past weekend, let me see the ticket. I would love to see that ticket. So if you do, throw that in the comments section as well.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Ooh, there you go.
He looked really good, I think, and I have him in just about every league, so I'm pretty excited. I think he had 8 targets, 6 catches. So I think that relationship with Patrick Mahomes is going to be a nice one to ride all year.
Yeah, the Chiefs were like a juggernaut out there.
I wasn't expecting that, honestly.
I don't think anybody was. 66 snaps or 66 plays, 33 first downs. That is just unheard of. It was just a
CEH looked pretty good. I'll swallow that.
CEH, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to get too high on CEH because we've seen him just be a little bit more of a bust lately. So I'm not too worried about it.
And I wonder if Pacheco is going to start edging in a little bit. I know they were up big, but he looked good when he was in there.
Yeah, I really think that was just because of the blowout.
Right.
He's going to be on special teams, but yeah, he did look nice. Any other week one takeaways you want to talk about real quick?
Surprised at the Dolphins just a little bit.
Subscriber play was on the Dolphins there. The Patriots
win, but I mean, just how they used their playmakers this week. Edmonds didn't do as well as I thought he would have, and we kind of got a glimpse of how maybe they're going to use Tyreek Hill and Waddle this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and the biggest takeaway for me from that game is the Patriots are just abysmal on offense. They have a lot of question marks moving forward. But the Dolphins are very, very exciting. And that was just the first game to see what they had. And I think them just beating their rival with ease, I think is going to gain that whole team enormous amounts of confidence moving forward. Then they have a big test this coming week at on the road at Baltimore. So that is going to be a primetime game. It's at noon, but it's a primetime noon game for me. I'll
Jalen
be
Hurts looked really good too.
yes, he
And
did.
AJ Brown, that connection, running the ball.
They showed off that the new toy very, 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 very well. All right, so let's transition to some waiver wire pickups. Who do you who do you? I don't. He might be on your team, or he might just be very, very low owned roster wise in some leagues. Who do you think? Who do you think people should pick up?
So, one guy that I have in my leagues, but um, a lot of people do not have him rostered is Zay Jones, and
Mhm.
I think I posted this in the Discord. Um, he has really good chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, and you saw all preseason. He had 9 targets, 6 catches, 65 yards, and I just think that's going to continue throughout the year.
Mhm.
Um, a guy that hasn't really been successful in his career, but I think he's got something special going on in Jacksonville.
And I will go with Curtis Samuel for the Commanders. I was a year early on Curtis. I drafted him last year, and he could not get healthy. But I remember Ron Rivera just talking him up last training camp and just saying he loved the way he could use him out of the backfield. Could be a gadget guy. I don't think it was a week one surprise. That is somebody that really, really they want to get involved in that offense. It gives that offense a little bit more of a dynamic look. So go ahead and sweep Curtis Samuel up. You can throw him in your probably flex or just as a little bit of a bench stash for right now.
My second one would be DJ Chark. He probably has more of a roster spot in a lot of leagues compared to some of the guys that we're talking about tonight. But
Mm-hmm.
if he is available, you definitely have to scoop him up. I've been high on DJ Chark all off season. 8 targets, 4 catches, 52 yards, and the big thing that I think he's gonna do this year is he's gonna be your touchdown guy. Um, he had a couple touchdowns in the preseason with Jared Goff, and we saw it again last night. So
Yep.
definitely needs to be rostered.
Oh, well, a couple running backs with some with an injury to Elijah Mitchell for you can pick up for the 49ers. Jeff Wilson's probably the de facto RB2. Don't worry, or you can pick up Jordan Mason. Maybe you can go with Price as well and see how that rolls for you. The other running back would be Burkhead if he's available. He's going to definitely as a role here. I still think Pierce is the guy long term. So you can
But
maybe
he's
pick
gonna
up.
be your third down guy, and I'm expecting them to play from behind a lot too. So,
Mhm.
uh, I mean, he looked pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield yesterday.
Yeah, and I just think maybe they want to slowly put Damian Pierce into it. Maybe that's where Lovey was coming through on his end. I'm not too worried about Damian Pierce. I still think he's the guy. But Burkhead, for the time being, maybe that's 1, 2, 3 weeks. You could get some, RB2 usage or some flex usage out of that. And then my last one, who was a direct replacement to Rondale Moore, was Greg Dortch. And we can see how long Moore is going to be out. He was on the sideline yesterday, so I don't think it's going to be too long term. I think it may be just more of a nagging injury. But if for Rondale, he's got to be 100% for him to be useful in that offense because he's that de facto gadget guy. But Dortch, sorry, had I think 9 targets, and it was just him and Marquise Brown. AJ Green was just running wind sprints all game long. So you can go ahead and drop AJ Green, pick up Greg Dortch for sure.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a quarterback, there's a couple options that you could potentially grab. I like Marcus Mariota just because he has that running ability. He had 72 yards and a rushing touchdown. And he's got some really good talent on that offensive roster with Patterson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. So he's going to throw the ball. He's going to get people that can catch it and do some special things. And I'm going to hate saying this, but Carson Wentz looked pretty decent from
four touchdown passes.
from a fantasy standpoint. You might want to consider taking him. The only concern would be his interceptions. Definitely needs to get that under control. He had 2, and he's going to continue to throw picks every single game. But if they let him throw it, he might do well from week to week if you spot him correctly.
I don't know. I'm not going to endorse Carson Wentz. I'm not.
I know. I hate even saying it, but I mean, he scored 32, 33 points in fantasy last week.
Maybe that Jags defense is just that bad again.
And if it is, that's what I mean. If you spot him correctly, he might be okay.
Yeah, and then that leads me into the week 2 look ahead. Speaking of that Jags defense, I mean, I know the Colts have struggled with them historically, but man, only -4. You're getting that line right now for the Colts. I just don't know how that's not a smash play for me right now. I'm not going. I haven't bet it yet. It's yeah. I mean, but you gotta. I mean, you just gotta like not think about what happened in week 1 and just think about the talent on the roster compared to what the Jags have. Even though I was on the Jaguars in week 1 to win the money line, they just could not execute in the red zone. And if you can't execute in the red zone against this Colts team, they could easily win by 10.
I hope so.
Who you like this week?
I think the one that stands out the most to me, just going through this, and I already took it, is Pittsburgh +1. I know you have question marks with TJ Watt, who's probably out, and Najee Harris just he had the X-rays that came back negative, so there's a good chance that he plays Sunday. Mac Jones had a report out today that he's a little banged up. I expect him to play, but Pittsburgh just went toe-to-toe with the Bengals. They're home this week against a struggling Patriots team that I just think is kind of mid-tier, middle of the pack team. So I think that I can't believe they're getting +1. I'm probably falling for a trap, but it just seems like free money to me.
Yeah, and that was the first one that I looked at. I almost gave it out today once I heard the Najee Harris news, but I'm just sitting back. I'm trying to just wait and see on that.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's gonna move.
But I feel like it would have already moved if when that Najee news came out. I thought it was going to go to -1, -2 Steelers, and it might by kickoff. So getting +1 right now is not bad. I might pull the trigger tonight or tomorrow. That is a spot that I have circled for this coming week. And I'll say one before I get to the one that I already have bet and I'm going to give out to my subscribers tonight. But the other one is the Dolphins Ravens. The over under is 43.5. Now that shocks me right now. I don't understand that. I feel like this game is going to be not wild, but it could be a high scoring affair.
It would be. And we didn't really see Lamar do Lamar things.
No. and his offensive line has a couple injuries. Their defense has gotten hurt. This could just be a wild game where Tua's thrown all over the place. We have Lamar scrambling all over the place. 43.5 seems kind of low in my opinion. I think this should have been maybe the 45, 46 range. Closer, you got the Commanders and the Jags at 49. So I don't know. Just surprised me a little bit initially at 43.5 here for the Dolphins and the Ravens.
I'm kind of liking that Chiefs -3.5.
That's my next play.
I know. I hate halves for football. So,
Yeah.
and it did open at 3, and I didn't jump on it. I saw it late, but I mean, the Chiefs just look damn good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you could buy that to
Yeah.
-3. Like it's like -130 though. So I don't know how much you want to pay for that half point, if it at all will matter.
Yeah.
Because
So one that sticks out to me, I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. I actually got two that I kind of like. Um, First one is, do you like the over in the Eagles Vikings game? It's at
where's
51.5. It's pretty high, but we saw last week these two teams just, I mean, you got Jefferson scoring multiple touchdowns. You got the Eagles with their with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. I mean, this game I think could be high scoring, but do you like that number?
Yeah, 51.5, and you got the Eagles favored in that game is surprising to me, especially after the Vikings curb stomped the Packers. That you would think that they would be the favorite team here. So yeah, this definitely has shootout potential, because the Eagles defense, it's supposed to be rejuvenated with new pieces to it. Maybe it's going to take some time for them to gel, but the time is not going to be good for them here against this Vikings team that Thielen came out and said it after the game. He was just like, I've never seen an offense just keep on attacking play after play after play. He was super pumped to be on that offense with this team. So I'd probably lean the over here.
And the other one is Browns -6. I honestly didn't think that they would do what they did against the Panthers. I was leaning Panthers to win it, just because of Jacoby Brissett, but this team can run the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's the Jets.
Yep.
What did Flacco throw? He had did he throw the ball like 50 times?
Yeah, they were playing from behind the whole game. I think he had 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a couple sacks. I mean, Browns defense is very, very good as well. They're at home. 6 points is a lot, but I can definitely see your argument here that they're just flat out the better team. But we got to look out for Zach Wilson. I don't know. I mean, they've been saying some positive news coming out a couple days. So wait and see. I doubt he plays this game. They also said week 4 was his timetable. But just always be aware of Zach Wilson. Man, I'd probably lean the Browns here. I like that 6, 40.5 number. I mean, you got to really, really like the Browns run game. So I can see it for sure. All right. So we got some spots circled for the following week. We're at halftime of the Monday Night Football game. Seahawks up 17-13. Surprisingly at halftime. Pretty crazy. We'll see what Russ does in the second half. But we are going to get up and out of here. We'll have one more podcast this week, probably finalizing some of these bets, maybe previewing the live show on Sunday, and then maybe discussing more props on that following podcast, just because they get released a little bit later on in the week. So, any final thoughts, Sidekick?
Jets shouldn't have released Geno Smith.
Yeah, he's looking pretty solid so far. So, all right, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys later on this week.
See ya.